All right, my friends. So today we're going to invite a little neck, trap, serratus stretching, mobilizing. And I don't want to get too specific on the musculature, on the anatomy. It really only matters to people that like to speak anatomies. Point is, a lot of us end up with shoulders that are up to our ears. And if we're people that do a lot of arms up type stuff, hairdressers, etc., mechanics, whatever. Pretty much everybody to some degree. We can get hung up like this. We can get hung up with the shoulder blade that's rolled forward a little bit more than necessary, and that's how these patterns get stuck. So, anyways, we're gonna focus on specific musculature, but we're really gonna focus more so on how it feels in our tissues. That's what we want to go for. Obviously, keep in mind we're not trying to hurt or pinch or crunch. Nothing should be sharp, painful, none of that stuff. We're inviting breath, we're mobilizing, we're softening. So starting with sitting upright, allowing yourself to sit tall, sit well. And we're going to focus again just on the right side. I encourage you to do both sides, though, regardless of issues you have going on. And we're just going to start with inviting the front of the neck to just gently be kind of pulled a little bit forward, inviting any sort of anchoring, lengthening here at the front of the neck. And we're going to invite a gentle little chin tuck back. Another video, I go in more in depth about chin tucking. So for now, we're just going to focus on bringing the head back, not tilting up. Bringing that head back and just gently allowing that head to lengthen to the left. Doesn't have to be sharp. We're not crunching into the left side. We're lengthening the right side. So we can tuck the chin, just gently lengthen back to the side. And just notice where that tension goes. Keeping the breath flowing, inviting a few rounds. And just noticing. Maybe we're looking forward as we're tilting the head. And maybe it feels called for to maybe look up towards the ceiling. Maybe look down. Again, as long as we keep a mindful awareness of tissues as we're moving, just let ourselves notice where there's tension, and we pause in those spots where we find tension and we breathe. It's like right there, I'm feeling a nice little tension line in my neck. And we can repeat each one of these parts in sequence. For the sake of this video, I'm going to move on. So we've invited the head lengthening on its own, but now we're going to invite the shoulder to participate. So we lengthen that shoulder down to the ground, and then again invite that lengthening. If it helps, that's why I did this video in a chair here. Sometimes holding on to really keep the arm anchored down is really beneficial. Kind of keeps that shoulder anchored away from us. You can also use a door frame. You can use a strap. There's all sorts of things you do. We just want this shoulder to stay down as we lengthen away. And invite that same sequence. Let yourself, explore. I find the front of our neck takes on a lot of ish. So making sure to invite that opening through the front of the neck is extremely beneficial. Again, repeat as many rounds as you like. 3 to 5, 5 to 8, 8 to 10, whatever feels called for. Let the tissues kind of guide the way. Don't get so hung up on the numbers. Now, the next one we're going to do is we're going to invite a little bit deeper into the back and sides of the neck. So we're going to invite our head to participate. So we're going to keep this arm anchored down, anywhere we find it. Chair, you can just bring it behind the back, hold on to your pocket, belt loop. As we still invite the chin to gently come back, we're going to turn the head and just lengthen. Just lengthening slightly. Again, I'm not cranking on the neck. We're just inviting that length through this backside here. We're almost lifting the head up and away. And again, play around with those little micro movements. Tilting a little bit further down towards the armpit. Tilting a little bit further up. And invite breath at different points here. Notice this line of pull getting into different areas, everywhere from deep in the shoulder blade into the anterior neck, into the armpit, down the arm. Just notice where you notice this pull going as you move through different positions. And you find a spot that calls to you, you invite the breath. At any point, you can invite some active participation here. So we've been keeping the shoulder anchored, and we can initiate squeezing that shoulder up towards the back of the head to invite those upper fibers to squeeze and lengthen a little deeper. Inviting squeeze and releases anywhere we're able to always makes the mobilizing a little more effective, often reduces any sort of uncomfortability, pain, turns off any of those stretch receptors that are otherwise attempting to protect our end range. And then gently come out of that. Now, there's more softer versions of this where we've been focused on keeping the arm anchored. You can simply just have the arm lengthened away from the head. This alone, if you're excessively taut, will elicit some interesting responses. And you can start to invite a little fascial flossing here. By simply starting with the neck, a little side to side, again going from the ear up and away from the shoulder, towards the shoulder and away. We can start to invite the shoulder and head kind of floss with each other. Keeping that shoulder anchored, mobilizing that neck again. This time we can invite the lower arm to flex, extend. And then the higher you raise the arm, oftentimes the more challenging it gets for the flossing practice. And we can invite that a little deeper. I'm just going to let that rest. Again, each one of these can be done individually or together. Just going through a series of these shoulder mobilizing practices. So lastly, I would like to focus on the serratus anterior. Again, the one that gets locked in this forward rotated posture. So we want to invite it to come back. And one of the best ways is to simply hold it back in that locked down position, understanding that the shoulder blade rolls forward when the serratus is working. Remember, it's that boxer muscle, that punching muscle. So we want to invite it into a opposite position to invite a little stretch, a little mobilizing through there. Again, we can utilize the chair to invite that shoulder blade to be down and back towards the spine. And then we invite our torso to spread away, to rotate away. And then we find breath. We're actively inviting the shoulder blade to go towards the spine while allowing the rib cage and the spine to go in the opposite direction. And again, I want to refrain from numbers because you want to let the tissues kind of tell you where the point of like the good point is. You just want to wait until sensations kind of acclimate, till the body kind of softens. It helps to have numbers. You can do 3 to 5 breaths, 5 to 8 breaths. But let the tissues practice letting the tissues tell you where to be, when to be, for how long. And then encourage that you invite the same on the other side. Again, you can do each one of these practices individually or together. So, yeah, and then notice how you feel pre-session, post-session, and stay grounded, my friends.